we need to let them know how we feel about that, and I suspect that knowing the depth of the feeling in this community, that we will let them know just how we feel about it. The other thing, on a much lighter note, I will also be having a day of fun in Marine Park on June 9th. I believe we're starting around 11 o'clock. We're going to have our annual senior concert. We have the Brooklyn Arts Council bringing in a couple of bands, probably a swing band. I don't know exactly the name of the acts. And then after that, during the course of the entire afternoon, we'll be having performances one after another from all of the schools in which I fund an arts program in our neighborhood. So the kids will all be there. And it's really, thus far, I know I'm going to put a whammy on this. It's never rained on us. It's been a beautiful day. It's a lot of fun. It's, of course, absolutely free. Our friends at Millennium Development bring the chairs, and so just come on out and have a really good day at the park. I left some of my flyers on the table over there, so if any of you have any issue that is city related that can't be dealt with here, or that you want to speak to my office about, our number is on that. Please call us. That's what we're here for. And I graciously thank you, Marty, and turn it back.
First, you want to say a word first before we start? Okay. Tommy Nihill from the Brooklyn South Borough is here. Give him a round of applause. My staff and volunteers are all over in this corner. Put your hands up, say hello, wave your hands. Here we go. And our concert series will be announced next week. It'll be coming out in email and letter form, and you'll hear more about that as we move along. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to put Mr. John White on to make some statements on the school at 278. And as soon as John is finished and the line of questioning, whatever questioning comes forward is finished, he has another event to go to, and then we're going to continue with the town hall, with the parks, police, and DEP, DOT, and the MTA. Thank you. John?
Senator, thank you very much for having me on behalf of the Chancellor and to members of the community. I know that your time too is precious, and so on behalf of the Chancellor and the Department of Education, knowing especially that many of you are parents or many of you are students who have work and things to attend to at home, I really appreciate you coming out and taking the time to hear me talk a little bit this evening. I hope, as the Senator mentioned, that I can be of a help in answering questions about this proposal. And I want to emphasize to start that what we are talking about is that it's an idea, it's a proposal, and we're in the process of learning about the various elements of that proposal so that ultimately the Department of Education can make a decision on the proposal. I want to say first, in light of a couple of things that have been said here this evening that I think are important principles to talk about first. One, we've got 1,500 schools that the mayor and the chancellor oversee in this city. And there are that many schools because there are a lot of people in this city, but there are also that many schools because the diversity in this city, the number of different types of needs, and really perhaps most important, what parents and students want for their kids is that different. And so we know that this is not a one-size-fits-all thing, and that there are different ways to provide a great education for different kids and for different families. And I say that first because what I heard the senator and the council member, and I've heard and read in many of the letters that I've been responding to over the last couple of weeks, has been in part about part of this proposal, which is about Hebrew Language Academy. But it's been in part about a different side of this proposal, which is about a small performing arts high school in the 278 building in Marine Park. And the reason I link those two is because I think they're joined by the concept of parents who, on behalf of their youngsters and on behalf of their families, are saying, DOE, this is something that we want. And the questions in front of us then are, can we do it well? And do we have the resources to provide it? And the proposal I'd like to talk about this evening actually answers yes to both questions and yes to both schools. So let me start by saying that first, and I deeply regret what obviously has been a miscommunication, and I can explain why I think that happened, but nevertheless a miscommunication about the Arts High School. we have every intention of there being a small arts high school that the administration at 278 proposes to the Department of Education, that we work with them on developing. We work with them on developing partnerships, although I know that there are already partnerships in the works. And that by the fall of 2010, we have 9th grade youngsters from Marine Park being served in the IS 278 building with a new high school there to start. That is our goal, and that is part of our proposal this evening. Let me talk about why that's possible and why we also think that Hebrew Language Academy is possible. And I'd like to be able to explain the specifics of our proposal. And then, I know as the Senator mentioned, I'd like to answer questions about the proposal and certainly start hearing comments about the proposal. Also, as the Senator mentioned, on the 26th, next Tuesday, is really an event that we've set up to have a discussion with the community at large about it, a public meeting to talk about the proposal. The reason I think we have the resources to do both the Hebrew Language Academy and get that school off to a start, and the reason why I think we can set up a permanent arts high school in the 278 building is that, one, we know parents are going to send their kids to both. Hebrew Language Academy, even though it doesn't yet have a space in which it's going to go, had 300 youngsters apply for its simply 2 grade levels. And they were spread out across District 22, but they were most primarily concentrated in Sheepshead Bay, in Marine Park, in Mill Basin. And at the same time, we know from the dozens of letters we've received over the years, from the conversations we've had in the community, from talking to educators and parents, that parents would enroll their families, their students in the 9th grade of an arts high school in the IS 278 building. As you might know, there's been a pretty significant decline in the number of youngsters who are attending our schools in what we call Community School District 22. And nowhere is that more pronounced than in Marine Park. And that's on some levels not a great thing, because we'd like as many of our kids as possible to be served by the good schools here. But it also allows us a particularly important resource, and that's the resource of space, within which to address what parents are asking us to do. Parents are saying, we want a different type of elementary school. Parents are saying, we want a high school in our neighborhood. And that space that has become available because we have less students in this part of the city gives us a resource within which we can make some of those decisions. We can actually add services and do things in a different way. That space means that over the last 5 years, whereas the student population 5 years ago was 400 students in IS 278, more than it is now, over the course of those 5 years, the student population has dropped by 400 kids. And actually next year, it's going to drop by roughly another 100 kids. And this is a trend that we've been seeing across Brooklyn and across this part of Brooklyn.
And what about the lower grade public schools?
That means that there are 55 full-sized classrooms in the building, but there are only going to be next year 37 homerooms of middle school students. And the question that we have in front of us is, what do we do with some of the fact that we can serve more kids in that building? That building was built to serve more kids. And so we agree with you. We agree with you that the high school should start. And I'm going to talk a little bit why it hasn't started. But we also think that if we have a school where youngsters, by the hundreds, their families are saying, this is the kind of education that we want for our kids. This is the kind of public school that we want for our kids. And they've said that it's Hebrew Language Academy. The question for us is, can they do it well? And do we have the resource? And we think that for the reason that we described, we do. So here is our proposal. Here is our proposal. Here is our proposal.
our community. Our